Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. And while I am your host, Greg Sheets was actually the game master for this one. It was player versus player, and Howard Warnes was the other player. We played this one back around 1996 or so, give or take a year. And we actually liked this adventure so much that we've reran it several times since. But at any rate, before we get into the game itself, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell for notifications, and leave us a comment. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm, but also we love hearing from you guys. We've got a great community here, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much for being here. So, that said, let's dive in. The prologue to this one takes place in 1967 in Gotham City on Halloween night, October 31st, where Dick Grayson, who is now a middle aged man, who is now the new Batman, and his youthful sidekick, Bruce Wayne Jr., who is the new Robin, they're at a Halloween party at City Hall. Also, here is Barbara Gordon, who is dressed in her Batgirl costume. The American Bear shows up to the party, and for those who are unfamiliar with the American Bear, I'll put a link below to an earlier video that was set in World War II, and that introduced him. He has the Valentino effect listed on the advantages section of his character sheet, but he also has the broadcast empath power, which has a limitation of being always on. And this is meant to represent his pheromones because he's a werebear. So, because of all of this, the female characters that are at this Halloween party are very interested in him. So, Bruce Wayne Jr., as stated in earlier videos, is actually kind of a jerk because his mom is the original Golden Age Catwoman, and as such, he has a slight villainous side to his personality. So when he sees Batgirl, he talks about how he thinks the idea of female crime fighters are laughable. He also gives the American Bear a hard time, calling him a monster, while Dick Grayson scolds his teenage sidekick, reminding him that the American Bear is a veteran. And this Dick Grayson, by the way, is based more on the Adam West version of Batman. So in the 1960s, his motivation is actually upholding the good. So just as we saw Adam West as Batman on that show, often speaking about things such as civic duty and honor, stuff like that. And he was always correcting his Robin, right? So too does our version of the Silver Age Batman. So Dick tells Bruce Wayne Jr. that all veterans deserve our thanks and respect. And he further explains that the American Bear is one of the World War II mystery men who went toe to toe with the most evil army in history, the Fourth Reich, who unleashed all manner of supernatural horrors on the world. So without guys like the American Bear, Bruce Wayne Jr. wouldn't even be alive. Dick also tells Bruce Jr. that the American Bear was not always a werebear. While he was in Mussolini's territory, he encountered a woman named Circe who slipped him a serum that transformed him into the creature that he most resembled by nature. So he didn't ask for this, and he doesn't deserve Bruce's ridicule. By the way, the American Bear has 5 forms. He is currently in form number 1, which is his form where he looks human, right? So right now at the party, he looks like a Caucasian man with blue eyes, short brown hair, and a brown beard. He's wearing red tights, blue trunks, blue boots, and he stands 6'6". Form number two, uh, if he were to turn into that, which he's not doing that right now, but I'm just going to explain the forms quick. Form number two still looks mostly human, but then he stands 9'9" tall, has more muscle, and is now covered in hair. Form three is the battle mode, in which he becomes 13 feet tall and is an anthropomorphic bear man, which these days people might refer to as a furry. Back when we were playing this in the 90s, at least for me, I had never heard the word furry back then. Um, but he's got a build sort of like the Incredible Hulk, where he's just very, very wide when he's in that third form. Form four is where he's like a giant dire bear, and in form five, he is a normal brown bear. But like I say, right now he is in form number one, where he looks human. In all of his forms, he has pheromones though, so all the women are huddled around him, chatting him up, and that includes Batgirl. Just then, Mr. Freeze crashes the party. He shoots at the partygoers, but the American Bear Hulk jumps over and punches Freeze with his super strength. The suit that Mr. Freeze wears not only keeps him cold, but it also amplifies his physical strength. So Freeze and the bear duke it out, but the bear has regeneration like Wolverine has. In fact, he basically has all the powers Wolverine has. So while the bear heals, Mr. Freeze does not. So eventually, Mr. Freeze is knocked out. Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne Jr., by the way, managed to slip away during all the commotion while all eyes were on the bear versus Freeze fight. And as the bear rips an old metal banister off the stairway and ties up Freeze with it, because he needed something thick and sort of like strong enough to hold him with the strength of that suit, right? So as he's doing that, Batman and Robin come running up the stairs. The bear says, Vic, what are you doing? And he goes on to say that he feels bad for Mr. Freeze's wife, but he says that if Mr. Freeze would just try a different approach, the heroes would be happy to help her. And then again, Robin runs his mouth, this time saying that he and Batman don't need any help from the likes of Batgirl and the American Bear. Just then, Chief O'Hara runs in saying Batman and Robin might actually need all the help they can get because there's been a jailbreak of sorts, and now all of Gotham City's villains are running loose on Halloween night, no less. Batgirl flashes Robin kind of like a dirty look, and she says that she bets that she and the bear could capture more villains than he and Batman can. Robin says, "You're on," and they shake hands. So the bear and Batgirl go one way, while Batman and Robin go the other way. And so the bear and Batgirl walk outside, and she is enamored with him. She thinks he's gorgeous. Um, and he feels the same way about her. But the lives of innocent bystanders are the priority, of course. So the bear walks over to a phone booth, which even in his human form, he barely fits into since he's built like the mountain from Game of Thrones, basically, right? So the bear checks the phone book and he goes to the yellow pages looking up comedy clubs. And since he doesn't live around here, he reads off the name of some, and then Barbara Gordon comments on each one until he gets to one that she says is no longer in business. So he says that is their first stop of the evening. Batgirl throws a batarang with a rope tied to it onto a fire escape and prepares to walk up a wall. So the bear's like, "What are you doing?" And she says she wants to get to the roof so she can go from roof to roof and make her way across town to the abandoned comedy club. And he says he can get there faster. So he transforms into form two because he can't skip numbers, right? He can't go from like one to five. He has to go from one to two to three, like that. So he changes into form two and she watches him hulk out. And by the way, thanks to a concept from Werewolf the Apocalypse, which is where we kind of derived all of his stats from, because they have a book all about werebears. Um, so they have this thing in that game called dedication. And so he has that. And that means that his clothing sort of stretches with him, right? It's kind of like the unstable molecules that the Fantastic Four use to keep from shredding their costumes with their powers, or it keeps like the Human Torch from burning his clothing off, that kind of thing. So at any rate, from there, of course, he goes to form three, which is his 13-foot tall anthropomorphic, anthropomorphic bear mode, right? Where he's again like just this massive Hulk-sized guy with like biceps the size of a tree. He picks up Batgirl and jumps up onto one of the buildings, which she enjoys. He then bounds from building to building like the Tick until they reach the comedy club where they find the lights are on. Batgirl says she's surprised that there's electricity here if the place is out of business. And the bear says he's not surprised at all. Then he drops through a skylight, dropping in on Harley Quinn and the Jokers. And yes, that's Jokers, plural. The original Joker is Jack Napier, who's been active since before World War II, and he's getting up in years. The second Joker, who first appeared in a comic book called Thrill Killer, is Bianca Steeplechase. This second version of Harley Quinn that we have here in this adventure also first appeared in Thrill Killer, and her alter ego is Haley Fitzpatrick. Not too long ago, the original Joker returned to Gotham City after a decade of imprisonment, and he used the brainwashing skill on the girls, turning them both into his henchmen. So Batgirl drops in and she exclaims, "The Joker!" Harley Quinn is wearing a roller derby version of her costume, so she zips over on roller skates and tries to hit Batgirl with a huge wooden mallet, but she misses. The original Joker asks how they found him so quickly, and the bear sarcastically says, "Gee, I wonder," then punches him. The original Joker is knocked out, and the second Joker jumps on the bear's back. He's surprised that she isn't falling for his pheromones, and he says as much. And she says, "Who says I'm not?" Then she bites his ear as hard as she can, drawing blood and actually doing some damage. Meanwhile, Batgirl subs an Omni Gadget for roller skates of her own, and she chases after Harley. The bear just kind of throws all of his weight backwards, slamming the second Joker into the floor, doing knockout damage only. And Batgirl grapples with Harley, stealing that big hammer of hers and knocking Harley out too. Harley and the Jokers are taken to Arkham, and as they arrive there, Batman and Robin show up with the Terrible Trio, a team of three thieves who wore head covering masks that represented three different animals: a fox, a shark, and a vulture. Robin says, "The Joker, where'd you find him?" Batgirl says he was hiding out in an abandoned comedy club. And Bear says, "Which is a shock, I know." Robin talks more trash, and the heroes go their own way again, looking for more villains. So the bear goes back to the phone book, looking up the number 2 as well as the word second. And after checking out a couple of places, he and Batgirl find Two-Face, who's an aging gangster, robbing the Second National Bank of Gotham. The bear tells Batgirl to lay low, and Two-Face uses a Tommy gun on the bear, who retorts that he hopes that Two-Face brought some silver bullets, otherwise that gun is going right up your poop chute. So Two-Face is defeated and he's returned to Arkham, and Batman brings in Egghead. Then it's off to the set of a television game show where the Riddler asks the bear the following riddle: what makes some men blind but helps others to see? What tears some buildings down but builds others up? What am I? The bear answers time, and the Riddler laughs and says the correct answer is sand. According to the Riddler, sandstorms can blind people, but sand is used to make the glass in bifocals. It can also be used for sand blasting, and sometimes it's an ingredient in concrete used in building things. The sarcastic bear once again says, "Yeah, that's super interesting, buddy," then punches the Riddler through a wall. Riddler says the bear's not playing the game by the rules, and the bear says he just doesn't care. And a badly beaten Riddler is taken to Arkham while Batman and Robin bring in King Tut. As the night goes on, this all gets harder. Killer Croc is encountered in a sewer where he and the bear have quite a fight. The two huge animal themed characters are well suited for combat, but the werebear healing factor makes all the difference again. Meanwhile, Batman and Robin apprehend Bookworm at the library. Batgirl and the bear beat the Clock King at a watch factory. Batman and Robin nab the Puzzler at the Gotham Gazette. And as the sun begins to rise over Gotham City, Batman defeats Falseface, while the Mad Hatter tries to dress Batgirl up as Alice from Wonderland. When the bear tries to rescue her, the Mad Hatter says that his putrid stench can mean only one thing: that he is the fabled Bandersnatch. The bear says, "Look, man, it's been a long night, and I'm sorry for the smell, but I had to fight an alligator man in the sewer, so." His sentence is cut short by the Mad Hatter pulling out a gun and shooting him, to which the bear says, "Rude," then throws a huge rock at the ugly little man, who dodges. On the Mad Hatter's turn, he runs into a hedge maze, laughing maniacally as the bear unties Batgirl. Batgirl says, "I wasn't going to say anything about the smell." And the bear says, "I get it. I'll take a shower. I just thought that in the time it would take me to get a shower, these nuts would kill somebody." Batgirl says, "That's a pretty valid concern." And the bear finally gets her untied, and together they enter the maze. Using his analytical smell/tracking scent, the bear is able to follow the Mad Hatter's path through the maze to the heart of the maze, where the Mad Hatter hid a huge mechanical Jabberwock. The bear says, "Oh, great, a Jabberwocky." To which Batgirl, who's a librarian and her alter ego is Barbara Gordon, says technically it's just called a Jabberwock. The bear says, "Really? I could have sworn it was Jabberwocky." And Babs says a lot of people make that mistake. The heroes also make the mistake of wasting all their turns talking. So now it's the mechanical dragon like Jabberwock's turn, and it uses a dice action to breathe fire at the heroes. Batgirl dodges, but the American Bear does not. He's a bit on the slow side. So the breath weapon destroys the white star logo on his chest, ruins his red spandex shirt. It also burns his hair off, but that regeneration of his kicks in and the hair begins to quickly regrow itself as his burns heal up. On his turn, he grapples with its metal jaws, trying to rip them apart. He damages the mechanism, but the jaw portion of the machine still has half of its hit points. So he gets a face full of fire at point blank range again. On the following turn, he rips the jaw off, but the flamethrower inside still works. So on the round after that, he rips that hose out and chemicals spray out sideways, disabling the flamethrower. As he fights the mechanical dragon, The Mad Hatter tries to slap a card on the side of Batgirl's head, taking over her mind and turning her into his slave. Her dexterity is high enough that he fails his role, and she punches the little man out. She slaps some bat cuffs on him as the bear brings the sharp lower jaw down on a pivot point in the beast's mechanical neck, decapitating it. The Mad Hatter wakes up just in time to see that, and he says, 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the Vorpal blade went snicker snack. He left it dead, and with its head, he went galumphing back. A tired bear says, "Man, are you done? Because I smell like sewer gator and I need a shower in the worst way." The Mad Hatter laughs and starts reciting more poetry, so the bear punches him in the face and knocks him out. With that, he and Batgirl take the Mad Hatter to Arkham Asylum, which brings us to the epilogue. In his alter ego, as mild mannered John Redbridge, the bear swings by the Gotham City Library at 5 p.m. to pick up Barbara Gordon for their date. He takes her to the Iceberg Lounge, which is a very posh club that plays big band music. The club's interior reminds the bear of a stadium. Everything is on a level, and where the stadium seats would normally be are the levels with the small dining tables on them. Where the playing field would normally be in a stadium, there's a large area filled with water. In the center is a huge ice structure with actual penguins waddling about on it. And in front of that is a woman singing romantic music for the amusement of the patrons. The bear pulls out Barbara's chair and she sits and thanks him. He takes his seat, and an attractive waitress dressed a bit like Zatanna takes their order. As one might expect from an establishment owned by the Penguin, they serve seafood. So the heroes both order lobster dinner. The bear comments that he's a little surprised that she's a librarian. Barbara gives him a big smile and asks why that surprises him. He says she strikes him as more adventurous and that he just didn't peg her as the quiet type. She says it's the quiet ones you have to look out for. As they eat their lobster, the Gotham City police come in to speak with the Penguin. Barbara sees this and subs an Omni-Gadget for the radio communications power, and as such, she pulls a small radio out of her purse with the old-timey equivalent of earbuds. So she and the bear each place one in their ear and listen to the police band radio. As it turns out, the Penguin, aka Oswald Cobblepot, has a son named Aiden and a daughter named Addison. And a new Penguin just stole a priceless jade crane. The police arrest Oswald, who was actually here all night in front of the patrons of the Iceberg Lounge. So he has an alibi, but his kids are nowhere to be seen. So Barbara Gordon suggests they change into something more comfortable, and she'll show him how adventurous she can really be. So once again, they're off, this time to solve the mystery of the new Penguin. But that's a story for another day. We enjoyed playing this one. We hope that you enjoyed hearing about it. If so, as always, smash that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed. Ring the bell so you know when we upload more stuff, and leave us a comment. From all of us here at the longest running superhero role-playing game on Earth, we hope that all of you guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure.